Based in France, Rococo was a decorative style most often used in interior design, painting, architecture, and sculpture. It is also a time period that can be associated with the reign of Louis XV. Louis XV became king at age 5. Early in his reign, he was dubbed the Well-Beloved. He was handsome, majestic, and intelligent. Yet, he was really shy and felt oppressed by the pageantry instituted by Louis XIV. He escaped it as soon as he could, taking refuge in his private apartment. At age 15, Louis XV married Maria Lazinka, daughter of the King of Poland. By the time Louis was 27, he had already fathered 10 royal children, 7 of whom survived. Of the 7, there was 1 male and 6 females. Louis XV's 59-year reign was marked by great prosperity. This was in thanks to quiet borders, domestic peace, demographic growth, and technical progress. A taste for elegance and luxurious refinement took hold in France and then spread to the rest of Europe. It was Versailles that set the tone, attaining a moment of perfection in the 1750s when Madame de Pompadour reigned at court as the arbiter of fashion. Now, Madame de Pompadour belonged to a family of great Parisian bankers. She received a fine education and soon became known as one of the most beautiful and wittiest women in Paris. At age 24, she was presented at court, where she became the mistress of Louis XV. Madame de Pompadour managed to entertain a bored Louis XV by organizing suppers, festivals, and shows, and by stimulating his interest in buildings and gardens. Although she was the focus of the king's passion for only 5 years, she remained his friend until her death in 1764 at the age of 43. She would have a secret child from the king, and the apartments that she occupied at Versailles can still be seen today. With the Rococo time period came a lot of changes, particularly with the interiors. There were definite public and private subdivisions for the home, reception rooms for winter and summer use, drawing rooms, small libraries, sitting, dressing, writing rooms. In fact, every type that is used today except the bathroom. There were also secret rooms for private rendezvous that were entered through the back of wardrobes or through sliding panels in the boiserie. As evidenced by this slide, we can see the use of pastel colors being incorporated into the Louis XV style interior. We also see the chimney piece as the focal point of the room. Notice that ceiling heights have been lowered to make the space more intimate. Paintings, sculptures, and objects decorating the room are devoted to the philosophers of the Age of Enlightenment. Rooms during the Louis XV period became less formal with lighter, even playful decoration. Notice the images painted within the boiserie panels. We did not see this before with the Baroque period. Jean Pilment was an artist during this time period whose designs were adopted not only for wallpaper, but for objects such as fans, dresses, curtains, upholstery, and porcelain. A new printing technique was introduced during the French Rococo period. The printing technique involved the use of cotton and was called toile de Jouy. This printed cotton technique used a copper plate printing machine which permitted the production of large but delicately drawn patterns in one process. This allowed the creation of compositions animated with people telling true stories drawn from contemporary events, novels, fashionable operas, or mythological and historical subjects. Madame de Pompadour was a woman of great culture and refinement. She contributed large sums for the excavations in Herculaneum and Pompeii. Madame Pompadour was also interested financially in an Oriental trading company and succeeded in popularizing Oriental importations. Artists, seeking her favor, contributed to the vogue, and not only were Oriental patterns reproduced in various mediums, but several decorative artists developed an extraordinary degree of originality in creating designs based on Chinese motifs for use in wall panels, screens, fans, and wall paintings. Francois Bucher was a popular artist during the Rococo period. Not only did he create paintings, but he also created and designed tapestries for the French royalty and nobility. Three common characteristics of French Rococo chairs include: number one, the frame of the chair, which was almost always visible, was distinctive for the continuity of its curves, which were accentuated by graceful and supple moldings. Number two, the molded frame was very often enhanced with a carved leaf and floral ornament. Usually, the carved detail was centered on the crest rail and on the balanced front seat rail and on the knees of the cabriole legs. Number three, the majority of cabriole legs terminated in a small volute or whorl, which commonly rested on a small square piece of plain wood called a shoe. The ladies' favorite chair during the French Rococo was probably the bergère, a large, comfortable, low armchair. The chair was well suited to their proportions and clothes. The chair's back and sides were closed, either with upholstery or cane, and its seat was fitted with a large loose cushion. As discussed earlier, human comfort was paramount during this time period. An example of this philosophy are the short padded arms. The proper term used to describe these arms is manchette, Manchette. Once again, manchette, the proper term to describe the short padded arms. This is a fun slide that illustrates a few things that I want to go over. First of all, if you take a look at the legs of this chair, here is that small block of wood that we refer to as a shoe. The other thing is, if we look at the front leg, which utilizes the cabriole leg, it terminates in a scroll. So we see the termination of a scroll and then the leg itself sitting on a shoe. The other thing to look at is this padded piece on the back of the chair. Any ideas of what that's used for? Well, if you're thinking it's used for an elbow rest, you are correct. We would have someone sitting in the chair, engaged in conversation, and if you happen to be standing behind the chair, that padded piece provided you a place to kind of lean in with your elbows and participate in the conversation. This too is another fun furniture piece. The men would sit backwards in this chair with their elbows on the armrests. This furniture piece is known as a chaise longue. It's a long chair for reclining or stretching out. It's an upholstered chair with a very elongated seat supported by extra legs. Notice that the seat portion is in one piece. Notice that this seating piece looks very familiar to the chaise longue, but with this piece, the Duchess Brizzy, it's made of multiple parts. We see two seating pieces plus a footstool. So it's made in either 2 or 3 pieces. The most celebrated cabinet maker of Louis XV's period was Jean Francis Aubin. A German by birth, the date of his arrival in France is unknown. His cabinet work possessed remarkable grace and beauty and was executed in the highest degree of craftsmanship. His delicate and exquisite floral marquetry, which was inlaid in a veneer of choice woods, was unrivaled. His great fame was due to the fact that he was commissioned by the king to produce the Bureau du Roi, desk of the king. The piece of furniture was completed after his death by his pupil, Henri Reisner. It is believed that Aubin had completed the construction and the designs for the marquetry before his death. The desk required 9 years to complete. This piece is considered to be the greatest achievement in cabinet work of all time. This desk was specially built for Louis XV, who wanted a desk where he could keep his papers away from prying eyes, thus inaugurating the quote, roll top model. This desk was the most expensive piece of furniture built for Louis XV. Not only is it decorated with figurative inlay of expensive woods, but it also contains a magnificent mechanism for its secret drawers. The king alone possessed a key that, with a quarter turn, could unlock the roll top and all the drawers. This term chinoiserie refers to Oriental influence. Chinese lacquer, which had been imitated in the 17th century, was introduced as a furniture finish by four brothers named Martin, who discovered its secret process and maintained it as a monopoly. They founded their royal manufactory in 1748. The early products of the Martins maintained the curvilinear forms, which were lacquered with copies of Oriental patterns finished in black and gold. Their lacquer was known as Venice Martin, which was later used to designate their technique. The Martins applied their secret finishes to every conceivable kind of object, such as fans, snuff boxes, and every type of furniture. This slide concludes the French Rococo time period. We're now on to our last module, the English Georgian.